guest is the lovely and talented Brittany Drozd. Brittany, I met her, wow, 3 weeks ago, not too long ago. And she's amazing. She offered a service that I quickly picked up on, and she interviewed me. And it was really good to have someone ask you questions about your business. It really, oh my gosh, I suggest that to everybody. Even just that, the bare minimum. And she's really good at that. She asks a lot of questions, and if she's not getting the answer, and I could tell she maybe wasn't getting the answer, I don't even know. But and she asked another one, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow. And it was really, really cool. She inspired me with something we're doing in our business, but she made me feel like, no, that could be 70% of your income. Just hearing a random person say that made me go, it could. And it was the coolest thing. So anyway, Brittany Drozd is on tonight. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Brittany Drozd, and I help entrepreneurs make more money, develop and retain top talent, and find fulfillment in the process.
Brittany, how's it going?
Hello. Hello. Good to be here.
Yes, I can hear you've got your wine. Hey, let's start by let me just say thanks for being on the show. It's really good. I was looking forward to you coming on.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
So
Couldn't
what are
say
you
no.
drinking? What are you drinking tonight?
So tonight I'm drinking a Malbec, which is from Argentina. It's
Ooh,
2017. Yeah.
2017. You don't
You
have to
know.
say the year if it's that recent, right?
Well, Malbecs, I don't think you have to necessarily wait too long for it to necessarily be delicious. So
You know,
2017
you
is.
you know what I know about wine is it has a bouquet if it's older than 10 years, I think.
Hmm.
But it's got, what is it called? Youth? No, what do they call that? It's a smell. It's a different, you don't call it a bouquet if it's, they say, oh, it's got a nice bouquet. 15 years. If it's younger than 15, it doesn't have a bouquet. It's it's got good nose. That's what
No.
it is. That I heard. That's all I know about wine. So that's cool. You got your glass of wine, and we're gonna do a virtual clink later on. So
Okay.
just keep that going. What is it about wine that you like?
So I have a friend who's a master sommelier, and I've been, on a few trips to learn about wine. And one thing that I used to think wine was super bougie, and you had to pretend like you knew things like bouquet and um, different flavors and whatnot. But my friend taught me, and I'll never forget that she says, "What's the best bottle of wine out there?" And I was like, gosh, I don't know. I was like guessing and like saying super old wine, right? And she said, no, it's whatever your favorite bottle of wine is.
Mm,
And that really changed it all for me because I remember when I first went into learning about wine, I was trying to like get the answers right and learn things I thought I needed to learn, but that's not the case. It's like you just need to enjoy it. And so if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. And I really liked that. And it's allowed me to enjoy a lot more wine instead of studying it.
yeah, because that could make you feel insecure. Like, man, I gotta know everything that all these French people know, and it's like, no, it's not. Yeah, my brother turned me on. Well, that's a good lead into the next question because you just have to enjoy it. So you're a coach, and you probably talk to a lot of people who probably don't enjoy their job, like wine. They should just enjoy it, right? Or maybe they're in the wrong field. Let's talk about that. What kind of a coach are you?
So I primarily coach entrepreneurs and some business leaders. So people that aren't necessarily the CEO of the company, but can make decisions there. And I love to practice what I call high flame coaching.
High
And
flying coaching?
I wish
Oh,
high flame.
oh, high
So,
flame.
and maybe you can attest to this, right? Because we had a conversation the other day. The best results come from putting yourself under a bit of tension, kind of in a pressure cooker, or
Hmm.
if, let's say, I had a flame underneath you, right? And what I think that does is it kind of boils the truth out of you. And
Mm.
once you're there, right, you can't not see the insights that you got from being in that kind of self-contained little pressurizer. And what you create in that moment is yours to then take forward. But it's a beautiful thing to kind of, well, maybe I enjoy it. Like when you cook a lobster, right? You're like, this poor sucker has no idea what's coming. Put them in the pressure cooker, and then it's delicious. It's the same
Right.
thing when I cook with people.
But you're the one that actually turns the heat up on the person, so it's fun for you.
Right. It's fun for me.
But you do it in such a good way because you interviewed me and I did not feel like you were like prying into my business. You were just like, so what, what motivates you? What about that? What about that? And you were like, what? It started with a lot of what's. And I remember that going, this is cool. It was like you were interviewing me and yeah, it was you were making me think. I think if I can just narrow it down, you made me think and you did a great job. Really, I was impressed.
Thanks. Well, so I wouldn't call it interviewing, I would call it coaching. And a lot of people are confused by that term, so I get it. And I like your interpretation, right? It felt like an interview, which is good. It
Hmm.
shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm turning the flame up higher and higher. But what happens is I kind of take your lead. We started with a total blank slate, and which was really cool is, you didn't really know what to expect. And I try to go into it with no expectation either. And
Yeah.
what we create ended up being really cool for you. So that's the point.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, it was really eye-opening. Just when you were saying, because we were talking about that piece of my business that we're about to launch, and you said, well, what if that made you 70%? I was like, I don't know if you just threw that out there, but I'm like, wow. And you know what that did? I meant to go back and tell you. That made me work harder to make it happen. That was really interesting. I don't know if you know you did that, but if you just said, what if that was 40% of your income? It would have been like, yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But when you said 70, I'm like, wow, it could be that big. It actually could be. It actually made me work harder to attain that. So I appreciate it. So you were telling me before that you're not a coach that gives advice. So like a golf coach would actually give advice, or you're swinging the wrong way and all that. Can you explain that you really don't give advice?
Sure. So just like how you described our time together, I didn't tell you what to do ever, right?
Mm,
It was about the way in which I asked the questions that got you out of the normal zone of thinking and put you into the zone of genius that you already have within you. But we just don't allow ourselves to think within that context or within those constructs on a
hmm.
daily basis, right? So we go into our job, we do the same commute every day, we sit at the same desk, maybe we even eat the same food. And because of that, it doesn't allow us to necessarily think outside of the box or think from a different place, right?
Hmm.
And so what did we do? We kind of just blew it open, and the whole idea was it was just playful and there were no consequences. But that's what created the lasting impact, was that you kind of loosened up the rigidity in your brain
Yeah,
and
yeah,
said, I guess I could see it that way. Why not? We're just sitting here having a conversation,
yeah.
right? And it's changed the way that you see what's possible for you and what direction you might be able to go and what you could create.
That's a great style. You put people at ease, so there's no barriers or anything. How long do you think it takes to really get to the average entrepreneur to just get them to open up? Is it minutes? Well, everyone's different, right?
Everyone's different. And There are times where, my gosh, an insight can happen in 30 minutes. And there are times I've worked with people where that really big key insight didn't happen till maybe halfway through our program together,
Hmm.
maybe several months. And there have even been some people that have emailed me way after the fact that we've worked together and said, "Oh, I finally I was able to use something we talked about 2 years ago, and it made all the difference in
Wow.
whatever it was that day that they were doing." And oh, those are my favorite emails ever,
Yeah,
because I I'm just wired to try and create the most impact I can for people. So it's fun to hear.
that's cool. What do most people have a problem with? Is it doubt, or what is like one of the top two or three things people deal with?
Well, would you necessarily categorize the conversation we had as a problem?
Um, as far as what I had, I don't think it was a problem, but there was a little bit of a there was something in there that you made me think about. So a little bit of a problem.
Well, I'll say this, and I don't want it to be cagey and have people guess what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that people who come talk to me have a problem or they're broken or anything needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I coach people who don't need a coach. The people who I love to speak with and who I feel I create the most impact with, or we create together, they are already successful in some way. I mean, Dave, you've had your own business for what, like 20 years, like you're
Yeah.
already successful. So, and what I love about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, those who behave like entrepreneurs in a business, they're ambitious, they're driven, they will do the things we talk about, and they really want to create whatever it is we're going after. So I absolutely love people who are committed in that way.
Mm.
But what I would say is that someone of that personality, of that entrepreneurial style, they tend to hit these different plateaus at different points in their business. And maybe this is going to resonate with you, but maybe you've worked really hard and you are now at the place where you can kind of have a regular amount of business. But then once that levels off, it's not exciting anymore. See, the entrepreneur
Yeah.
loves to be excited and engaged by something
Oh
new.
yeah.
And idea. Maybe that's how Wine with Dave was born. But
It was born out of
it's
boredom.
a
Actually, you're probably right. Yeah.
right. So, your fast mind needs to be captured and captivated by something. And that can often be growing the business. So, a lot of times people will come to me because they've figured out the basics, they've worked hard, but they need to do something different to get from where they are right now to the next level of success for them, however they would define it.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. Yeah, you're right about the plateaus because I mean every business goes through that. Every person, every marriage.
Mine
And
too. Yeah.
if you stay there too long, you just feel like I got to do something different, or this isn't fun. And then you just switch it up, and all of a sudden you got a new excitement. So that's really cool. Let me ask you about personal values. What are your personal values, and how you value other clients?
Um, sorry, you cut out a little bit. What are my values and what are those of clients?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tonight there's just a lot of the internet's getting swamped with all these videos. So what I was asking, and it's not your fault. It's the internet. What are your personal values?
Sure. So I have a few key values that I try to keep top of mind whenever I'm doing anything in my business.
Hmm.
And number one is integrity. So whether I'm working with a client, I'm putting together a proposal, or I'm talking about what I think maybe I would be able to create. In working with a client, I have to have full integrity about that. And you know what? There are some people that I'm not the right fit for, or I can't create what they want to create. And so I need to have full integrity around that. And that's what I think actually makes my work more powerful is people can trust and know that when you come to work with me. Like, you're going to get the real deal, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. And that has really served me, at the end of the day, feel good about the work that I put into the world.
Mm.
Another value of mine is my family. And the way that I integrate that into my work is everything I do is based on the life I'm trying to create together with my family. So when I think about a project, I think about my kids. When I think about a new client and their needs, I think about my husband. And I think about if this is going to balance in the way that I need it to for this season of my life.
Yeah.
And that way, it really allows me not to ever discount myself in a way that doesn't feel good, or go down, I could sell a lot of things or services that would bring in money. But if it's not true to my personal brand or what I'm trying to create for my lifestyle and my family, it's a really great guide to kind of steer myself back straight to
Mm.
the bigger values that I'm trying to always move towards in my life.
That's cool. So you've like laid this foundation, like this is what I want, and then everything comes after that. You're not a feather that's life is blowing you this way or that way, or clients are blowing you around like a feather, and you're just saying no. I will only accept what's good. That's great. That's really good. What's the one thing that you think every business owner should do?
Mm.
Is there one thing that we should all do?
Yeah, so this is really fun for me because people come in and right away, I barely said hello, and people are already telling me about their huge, awesome goals. And that's great. And this is exactly what I love about entrepreneurs. It's like, okay, tell me all the things. Like, I know you have a list. I know you've already done like 10 goal setting workshops this year. But the thing everyone forgets to do is reflect. And it is impossible. I'm telling you, like, it is impossible to have a goal that you set, work through it, and achieve it without doing a reflection first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know where you are at, if you don't know where your business is at, if you don't reflect and figure out what got you here, you don't have the foundation you need to properly move forward. It will collapse on you. And that is because you need to do an assessment of what it is that got you to this place. What has worked? What hasn't worked?
Mm-hmm.
What do you love to do? What do you hate to do? Like, you need to figure out, or just your financials. I can't even tell you the amount of people I meet that don't have a real good handle on what their financials actually are at that moment. And that's terrifying as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of people don't do it, but you need to do it if we're going to talk about where you're going to get to. I've even had people say, like, I want my business to make whatever, 500,000. And I said, great, what did it do last quarter? And they have no idea.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if they're trying to go from 50,000 to 500,000, or if they were at 450. It's a
Right.
huge difference what kind of tactics you employ at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I love the enthusiasm, like, love the moonshots, love all that stuff. But you got to start with the peripheral.
Oh, you just froze up a little bit. Oh, you just froze up just a little bit. But you got to start with something you were saying. Um, yeah, maybe we're drinking too much wine. It's like messing up the internet. You said something. You have a quote, and it was in the video before you came on that I love, and it's what got you here. What is it? What got you here won't get you there.
Yes. Yeah.
So explain that. That's like what got you to this place in life. Obviously, you learned some skill sets. This is what I got out of it. Tell me if I'm wrong. But those skill sets that got me to where I am now may not get me to the next place. I have to keep learn. I'm always learning. Is that pretty much what that's about?
It definitely will not get you to the next place. because what it took for you to build out your business to this point, or shit, not even your business, your life, it will take a different strategy. It'll take
Mm-hmm.
a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing your life or what's possible for you,
Yeah.
a different internal dialogue, the way you talk about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, to get you to whatever next level that is. Maybe that's a promotion. Maybe it is a certain amount of savings in your retirement. Maybe it's a big family vacation. Maybe it's some inner peace. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that got you to right now, if you're looking to do something different going forward, then it's going to take something different to get you there.
Yeah, and you know what? That's encouraging to me because I'm like a sponge. I try to learn everything I can because I feel like that's the enemy. The enemy is lack of knowledge in this field I'm in with marketing and web design, graphic design. I mean, I'm helping businesses. I have to learn, but I learn
Right.
things that aren't even part of my business that I get fascinated with. And when you said that, I was like, wow, that's cool. I'm on the right track. What got
Yeah.
me here isn't going to get me there. So
Mm.
that's awesome.
Well,
Um,
the way you did business like 15 years ago.
yeah, you can't do that now. Same
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Like possible in your world, right? But
Well,
just
in
think
my
about
the
the
only
that you
thing that stayed the same is just my level of excitement. Like when I got bored and I just had so many clients, I'm like, I need to get more because this is just okay. I'm like, oh, I brought on another person, and like all of a sudden started growing, and it was exciting working with another person. Then I brought a partner on, a guy I super respect, and he might even be listening tonight. I'm not sure. He might be great guy, and we're like two sides of the same coin. And all of a sudden, it was like the excitement level went up again. And I think you kind of hit a plateau, and you're like, and then you just gotta come out with new ideas. And we have plenty of ideas between the two of us, but there's always this point of we have to keep adding skill sets. So I like that you say that. Do you find that business owners or entrepreneurs get stuck and they can't get out of the place they're at?
yes,
Yeah.
totally. And I feel like to no fault of their own, because it's hard. Why would you stop doing something that worked so well? It seems counterintuitive. So maybe what worked for you was maybe you had like a cold email lead or something to
Mm-hmm.
get people on board, right? Or networking groups were really effective, right? It's something that initially it works, and so we keep doing it, and then we double down and triple down and we keep doing it, and then you see this growth, but then something happens where all of a sudden it then becomes the bottleneck. You can only go to so many networking events. There's something that won't allow you to build in that way anymore. So you need to consider, how can I do this at scale if growth in volume is your model? How can I do this without being the person who has to sit down and do it all the time? And that's going to take a reorganization of knowing what your skills and your assets are, and
Yeah.
considering how could this look different. But it's hard because it gets so ingrained and it gets so reinforced. So it takes something totally different to take you out of that.
Hmm. Well, I have two questions. Do you get drained when you're done with a client? Do you feel like you've just really tried to be that coach and the inspiration, and then you're done? You're like, oh, I need a break. Because I'm curious.
Yeah, why do you think I'm having wine with you tonight?
Okay, so it's time for a virtual clink. Ready?
Okay.
So you got to put it in your left hand, and I'm going to have it in my right. Okay? Pull it a little bit closer to you, right there, and you're going to move it to your right shoulder. Yeah, right there, a little further. Right about there. Okay, now go back. That's good. Good practice. Ready? I'm going to make a blooper reel. I am. Ready? Three, two, one. That's good. Everyone overshoots. They always like, whoosh. So your hand disappeared into my frame. Mine did yours.
Okay, we'll do it again.
Now let's do it again. Yeah, don't go as far. Ready?
Okay.
Three, two, one. Virtual clink. Oh, that was one of the best ones. Nice. That's one of the best ones. The second
Cool.
question I had, another question is, how does someone hire you? Is it by the hour? Is it by the month? How does someone approach someone like yourself to help them out and get through what they have to get through?
So it's actually by the year.
Oh, really?
So I also have a 6 month offering, but really the year is my favorite. Um, if I mean, consider like what we did in like 45 minutes. If you had that regularly, and I coach usually on like a bi-weekly basis, um, to allow enough time for you to do the work in between. Um, I'm only interested in really big commitments. I love to dive deep with people, and I give so much of myself, like my total attention. I'm so invested in creating the impact and the results, that I need somebody to make an equally big investment on the other side. This has to be so important for you that it feels scary to make that kind of commitment.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you know you should do it, but you're kind of terrified. That's how you know you're in the right place. So I love when it feels that edgy for people and that we can dive in together.
Yeah, that makes sense. If someone says, "Let me just hire you for one session," there's no
Mm-mm.
skin in the game, right? It's just,
Yeah. I will do VIP days for clients who have already done a full program with me, so
mhm.
6 months or a year. Then we can do a VIP day together if they have something they want to hash out. If some new thing came up or they want to launch a new product or something, we can do like a deep dive for a day, and that's really fun. But I
Right.
have to know enough about you in order to be able to help you that powerfully for a day.
So if anyone has any questions, leave them here. They're going to show up on the screen. Any questions you have for Brittany Drozd? That's a cool name. What kind of last name is that?
So that's my married name. My husband's Polish, and it means, I think, nightingale. I hope I got
Ah,
that right.
Brittany
Otherwise,
Nightingale. Wow. Serving people like Florence Nightingale, serving the dead bodies out in the field. Well, not the dead body. You can't help dead bodies. You can help wounded. Um, that's awesome. So what was the other thing I was just going to say? Yeah. So leave a question if you got anything for us. Steve Mason says, "Ha ha ha." He was laughing at something. Rick says, "I'm choosing to watch Brittany over watching a burning police car." Yeah,
geez,
that's kind of what it's come down to. So that's good.
yeah,
Um,
I'm excited for your upcoming series. I think that's really timely and really important.
yeah, I'll have to mention that in a second too, because some people miss that. Marta Finch says, Polska. Do you know
Yeah,
Marta?
Marta's Polish too. For
Marta,
anybody, Marta is my friend. She's amazing. She's a psychiatrist. She is so skilled. She's so smart. If anybody is in need or has kids that are in need, she's amazing.
really?
So a little
Marta,
plug
you
for Florida, my fellow Polish friend.
fellow Polish friend. You're not tired of the Polish jokes, are you?
Well, I mean, I can laugh at them because it's just I'm married to
Right.
Polish, not necessarily
So
Polish.
what's your nationality? Not that it matters. I'm just curious. You're not absolutely not Polish.
I don't think so, but I mean, I need to get one of those 23andMe tests, I guess.
I
Um,
have one and I'm afraid to fill it out. I've got one around here.
what are you afraid of?
Well, you know what it was? I had it at work way before, BC, before COVID. And every time I would go to do it, I just come back from lunch. My business partner, Sal, says, "You can't do that. You just had food." So he said it like twice. I'm like, oh, every time I want to do it, I always forget. So I've got it here. There's no reason why I can't. Um, well, my mom and dad passed away, so I was hoping to use that on my dad. It was too late because that way I know clearly what his lineage is, and then I would buy one for me. But I'm back to square one, so I will do it. I do know I'm half Irish, quarter French,
That's
quarter Swede.
Irish. Yep.
So the quarter Swede is the England. That's where the England comes from. It was great having you on the show. Really was.
Thank you. It's fun to be here.
Do you do any group lessons, group coaching, or is it really just one on one?
I do group. I love group. Once a year in the fall, I launch an entrepreneurs group because not everyone is ready for the one-on-one, and I've been in coaching groups myself, and they're so fun because you immediately have like 5 or 6 new friends and allies to call on and resources to go to build off of, and you learn so much from the other people that are there. It's so valuable. So I am launching again in the fall. So that might be the perfect thing for you. If you've never been in coaching before, if a year with me feels a little bit intense, then a 6-month coaching group is a really great entree into doing this work and an investment in your business.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
fun.
guys, Brittany Drozd, and underneath her name, I've got a button that's covering it. I can't see it, but it's BrittanyDrozd.com. She's very active on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn's the world you're in, right? Because that's where I kind of met you, in that LinkedIn world with Alan Langer.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so glad we're in that same group together. We get to know each other and pick
super
each other's
fun.
brains. So that's great. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.